Hi everybody, I'm Tash.
And I'm Damo.
And together we are so excited to bring you this week's episode of the Bari Chronicles.
Awesome.
So what are we on about this week, Damo?
Ins and outs.
Yes.
We've started a new year. We've started a new season of the Bari Chronicles.
We have, which is exciting times.
It's amazing. And, you know, the guests that we've got lined up.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already heard from Dr. Sally Ng, amazing plastic surgeon.
Yes, we've heard from a couple of other plastic surgeons as well who are going to be joining us this year. We've got some of our wonderful bariatric surgeon friends that are going to be joining us this year. We have some awesome dietitians that will be joining us this year, but I'm going to be honest and say that nutrition for weight loss surgery, I will still fangirl.
Yep.
Like that will just always be a thing.
Yep.
This year, but then we've also got some awesome and amazing lived experience stories that are going to be on this season's Bari Chronicles, and I'm just so excited for that.
A couple that I'm really excited about is we've got a couple of amazing people booked that are going to give their story and their pre-op.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So
I can't wait.
They're going to let us follow them from their pre-op phase all the way through to the end of the year.
All the way through. That is, yeah, that's just awesome. Don't you wish that we'd kind of considered doing that back in the day?
Yeah. And I think if I had have even considered it, I wouldn't have been brave enough to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I really admire
I've just got to reach for my coffee.
These two ladies that and I have no doubt that there's going to be more than that are going to go, you know, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's so much power in being willing to share your journey. Like just to share the ups, the downs, not just all of the wonderful things that happen, but, you know, just really being very authentic about the whole process.
Because quite often we can, well, I know for me, I don't always want to share the things that I'm struggling with because I don't want to bring other people down.
Yeah, and discourage others.
Yeah, but I think that there's a lot of power in being authentic like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And letting people see that, you know, we may not always have it all together.
Yep.
You know, I mean, for me, I've already had 2 hospital admissions this year.
Yes, so let's just like sort of backpedal a little bit. So we are currently February 2nd. So it's February 2nd. It is a lovely Friday morning. We're expecting a nice toasty temperature today here in good old G-Town. And already, old mate here has had 2 hospital admissions this year. So we really do understand and know that sometimes it is not all rainbows and unicorn farts.
This year has been
space.
I think
the unicorn has not been farting.
A rhinoceros.
Yeah, it's been a rhinoceros or an elephant.
Yes,
something large and very smelly.
And smelly, yeah. So, well, I guess it was actually the day after Christmas. I started feeling quite ill.
Yeah,
and
I do remember.
Yeah. And 2 days after Christmas, funnily enough, every year is my birthday. Who'd have thunk?
Who'd have thunk that?
So,
you mean it doesn't change from year to year?
No, it doesn't, as much as I wish it would.
Yeah.
But, alas. So, Kim wanted to do something really nice for me, and she did. She organised for a couple of days away for us in Melbourne. And we got there, and honestly, I was that sick. I couldn't walk more than 10 metres without having to stop and have a rest. And I couldn't eat anything. So we had a nice time, and it was nice to just spend a bit of time together, but we really weren't able to make the most of being away. And we got back, and I just wasn't getting any better. So it was actually the 1st of January. I finally put on my big boy pants and went to the hospital. And they were thinking it was my gallbladder or a stomach ulcer, but not really sure. So they did the scans and the tests, and it all came back clear. So they managed to get onto an amazing gastroenterologist, and he heard my history, and without even seeing me, he said, I'm going to do a gastroscope on Friday. So that was like Monday.
Yeah.
So
now let's just backtrack a second. What was actually happening? Like, what were the symptoms? You said that you felt like crap.
Yeah.
What exactly was happening?
So right in the middle of my chest, I was having this really bad pain.
Yeah.
But then there was also a tight, like, it almost felt like there was a band across the top of my stomach.
All right. Yep. So like right kind of at the top of your rib cage.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And if I ate, it got worse. So I was really limited in the things that I could eat without making myself sick.
Yep.
It had sort of got to yogurt, mashed potato, really, very bland, very smooth.
We love yogurt.
Yes.
And we love taties.
Yes.
We love taties.
But I don't want to live on that.
But we don't want to just eat taties.
Yeah.
Well, not all the time.
No. It's the butter that's the issue.
Yeah, and not because we don't want to eat taties all the time. It's more because we like to eat other foods too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a big issue.
You think?
Yeah. It actually got to the point where all I could stomach was watermelon juice.
Again, we like watermelons, but not that much.
Not that much. And that wasn't good for my diabetes
not
as
at
well.
all.
So something had to give.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to get it looked at, but I was just being stubborn.
Yeah, like incredibly stubborn. Stubborn.
I'd spent so much time in hospital last year that I was just like, I don't want to do this again. But, our bodies get to a point where they go, either you're going to look after me or I'm going to make you
look after me.
Yeah. And actually, and I'm not going into mine yet, but one of my ins for this year is that whole self-care thing.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Professor Gastroenterologist man, he rang me. We had a Zoom meeting, which was really nice.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything rushed. It was just really...
He was happy to chat.
Yeah. And he actually said to me that he's been seeing this more and more with people that have had their sleeve, where they may need a dilation at the top of at the opening of their esophagus.
Yep.
Even years after the sleeve has been done.
Wow. Okay.
And I'd never heard that.
Pick up the what you're putting down. If you're years out
and you're having those sorts of issues,
don't just put up with it.
There could be some, and what they found when he did it was that there was some narrowing in my esophagus.
Yeah.
And he actually ended up doing 3 dilations.
Wow.
In the one procedure. I think from memory it had shrunk down to like 8 millimetres.
Okay.
So he stretched it back up to about 20
Yep.
millimetres. And honestly, the moment I woke up from that, they bought me the awesome little hospital sandwiches that they have. And I was able to eat a whole sandwich without feeling sick. So I knew straight away that, yeah,
It had worked.
it had worked. Whatever he had done, because at
How
that
amazing
point I
is that?
didn't know what he'd done, but whatever he had done had worked.
Yes.
And then he came out and told me, and I was just like, wow, incredible.
And big thank yous to
Yes.
him, because he was not the original surgeon.
He was not the original surgeon. We'd never met before,
Yeah.
but he just jumped in, knew what was going on,
Yep. Brilliant.
and got it fixed, which is what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that I know that you put up with it for about a week, but I'm glad that you didn't just put up with it for longer.
Yeah.
And we do read those stories, don't we, and see those stories on Bariatric Support Australia on our Facebook group, where people do put up with things for a long time. So if that's you, if you're experiencing those same sorts of symptoms and things aren't improving, make sure that you do follow up, because not being able to eat like that,
It takes a lot of joy out of life.
it takes joy out of life, but that's not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we're allowed to look after ourselves like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not an inconvenience or too much trouble.
Yeah. We just have to actually take the time. And, sometimes it can be hard when, I've got to work or...
Yeah.
Yeah. But, work is always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Other commitments are always going to be there.
Yeah, 100% they will.
But our health may not necessarily always be there.
Yeah, that's right. We need to look after it.
And we don't want to get to a point where our body just goes, you know what, screw you, you're not looking after me, so I'm going to make you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had that hospital admission?
Yes, and then I had a regular follow-up with my pain specialist, and I knew that I was coming up for a ketamine infusion, which they do to control chronic pain. It brings my pain levels down to a point where I can just sort of have one tablet a day, and I'm right.
Yeah.
And I get
so you've had multiple back surgeries.
Yeah.
After accidents and things, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
my back is like a road map with scars and and all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too bad, but I think probably just with the issue at Christmas and everything, I was in a bit more pain than normal, and they'd booked me in for mid-February to have my infusion, but it actually got to a point a couple of weeks ago where I was back to not being able to get out of bed and really wasn't functioning at all. And Kim actually rang me.
It's hard when you're trying to work and you've still got all of those competing priorities, hey?
Yeah, it is. And, even, oh my gosh, I can't do it this week because I've got to do a podcast.
Yeah.
All
of those things.
We get it. We get what it's like to have work commitments.
Yeah.
But again, my body was just going, no, can't do it.
Yeah.
So Kim actually rang me one morning. She'd been out and she said, do you want me to take you up to the hospital? And for the first time ever, I said yes. Now, for me, going to emergency with a chronic pain condition is triggering because the town I grew up in on the Sunshine Coast, any time that I would go to the emergency department because of chronic pain, they would it was like I was a drug seeker.
Yeah.
And it's all in your head anyway. Get over it. Oh, here's some morphine, that'll shut you up, and sent me home. And it was never that I wanted painkillers. It's that I didn't want to be in pain.
Yeah, which is different.
It's very different.
It is.
You know, what I didn't understand back then was that the public hospital system that we had up there wasn't capable at that time of treating someone with a chronic pain condition.
Yeah.
They didn't have the tools. All they had was opiates.
Yeah. Yep.
And it made it hard on them, but it also made it hard on the patients. And it's the patients that suffered because
that's right.
the staff, they got to go home at night and sleep while I was still writhing around. So I had a lot of
trust issue, whatever.
Doing that. And I couldn't believe it. We got up there, they took me straight through, and all of a sudden I had these doctors and nurses, and they had called the pain clinic that's attached to the hospital.
Yeah, you're the one that you attend.
The one that I attend.
Yeah.
And asked them what they wanted them to do for me. So all of a sudden I was being offered the right medications, and even tried a few that I've never been offered before, which weren't opiates. Though it was an anti-inflammatory type thing.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I'm being told, your pain specialist has decided that he wants you to stay, and we're going to bring forward your infusion.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
So I was taken up
awesome.
to the ward and spent the next 5 or 6 days on an infusion. And you were actually there when my pain specialist came in.
I was there. Lovely man.
Just amazing, he even took the time to sort of explain to Tash
he did.
What was happening with my pain and how the ketamine treatment works with it.
Yeah, it was fabulous. Really fabulous.
So it makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that's been a great big journey.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So hopefully, can spend the next couple of months.
Yeah, spend the next few months just feeling good.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. And my 2024 has started off probably a little bit less eventful, which has been really nice.
Yeah.
Although I did manage to go away and get COVID, which was probably not great. And my breathing's been a little bit funny, so I've been on some antibiotics and things like that just to make sure that I don't end up with pneumonia again, because that was not a fun time.
Sounding like Darth Vader.
Yes, I did sound very much like Darth. But it's been a really lovely January. It was really great. And I feel like I've hit the ground running in February, but I've certainly made some decisions about how 2024 is going to play out just for me personally. I don't mean that, we have the stars and moon in the folds of our robe and we can control other things, but I mean just for my own life, for the things that I'm wanting to see in my own life. So I've been thinking about what are my 2024 ins? What are the things that I'm doing this year that I have not done in previous years? And the most important one for me is actually getting to bed at a decent hour. And I know that sounds really silly, but I am very much Little Miss Insomniac. I've always been a bit that way. I tend to, if left to my own devices, I'd be fine on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. Well, probably not fine, but you do it. I do it and can function. So I've made myself a little promise that I'm going to be in bed by 10:30 at night.
And that's great. Yeah.
Which is a big change.
Yeah, I think we need to set those sorts of goals because...
And having the boundaries as well. Having those boundaries to say, okay, well, I need to do this for me. just so that I feel like I can function at my best. My other in is about my hydration. And this is something that I've struggled with since my weight loss surgery. Oh my gosh. I used to, like, prior to weight loss surgery, I would drink an easy 3 to 4 litres of water a day. No problem at all. Little Miss Guzzler could, smash it down. I can't do that anymore.
Now 3 to 4 glasses a day.
Yeah, it's hard. So I frequently get to the point where I know that I am on that cusp of dehydration, and I can feel it. And I've decided that I must discipline myself to drink more in the mornings. I'm good at, drinking at night, but then we have the whole sleep issue and trips to the little girl's room. So I don't like doing that at night. No. So I am determined that I'm drinking more throughout the whole day. That's another great big in for me. And also another one is to make sure that I'm staying on top of my blood tests. Last year, I had a period of time where I let it slip out to, I let it slip out to like nearly 6 weeks late on my blood tests, which was very bad of me. Now, for those that might not know, I can slip very easily into malnutrition. Since my gastric bypass, I have to be really careful with my vitamins, really careful with my protein intake, and I'm usually pretty good with those things. But yeah, I just didn't care for myself quite like I should have at the end of last year. It was just crazy.
I'm telling Sally on you.
Yeah, well, you can tell Sally. And then Sally will look at me with
disappointment.
With disappointment, and then anyway, that won't happen because I will be good and I will be having my bloods done every 3 months. Not everyone needs to do that after gastric bypass, and I know that. Not everybody needs to have their blood tests that regularly, but I do. So I'm determined that I'm going to be doing that.
But it is recommended that even long term, after bypass, you have a blood test every year.
Yes, it is.
That is the Australian recommendation for it.
Yeah.
So even if you've been told you don't need one every year, you need one every year.
Yeah, you need one every year. So that is very, very, very important. That way, for me, if there is some sort of deficiency of some kind, it's caught early and I don't end up, hopefully, in a bad state. Another in is that in 2024, I am challenging my own limiting beliefs that I have had about myself. And it might seem like, sometimes I think people can probably think, hey, she's got those things under control. But there are certainly limiting beliefs that take up residence and live in my head at times. And I'm challenging those things this year. I'm purposely putting myself in positions where I am forced to break out of those things. And I don't like it. It feels all funny.
Isn't it interesting? But like for me, pre-weight loss surgery, my limiting beliefs were all based around the fact of my size, and I couldn't do things because of my size. Then went and lost 110 kilos and was in the smallest clothes that I'd ever worn.
Yep.
And I still had the exact same limiting beliefs.
They just changed.
I just didn't have the ability to blame
your size.
My size.
Yeah. And that has been so true for me as well. Because the limiting beliefs, for me anyway, they were wrapped up in my own feelings about myself. And of course they manifest themselves, or we can use our size as a way to mask or it's an excuse. For me, it was an excuse. But ultimately, it was just my own feelings about myself. And that's something that I've been working on for the last 5.5, nearly 6 years since I've had my weight loss surgery, those feelings about myself. But I want to do more on that this year. don't want to feel those same kind of feelings that I've had in certain situations and around certain people. You know, I want to feel that sense of peace in myself. That's what I'm going for. So, and another 2024 in for me, and this one is one that I'm kind of not looking forward to, but it goes along with looking after myself better. It's about getting some certain health things that I have been putting off dealt with. So I have a hernia that needs to be dealt with, and I also have some crowns. Not the cute little crown type of crowns. The very expensive type of...
queen.
The very expensive kind of dental crown. The crown nobody wants to wear, but I need. Thank you, Reflux. But anyway, I want to get that sorted this year as well. So they are very, very important things to me. And then a couple more along those self-care kind of things is prioritizing nutrition every single day. And for me, what that looks like is making sure that I'm eating enough every day. I don't tend to have a problem with now with eating too much. It's just making sure that I'm actually eating enough. And it's been a problematic, that whole conversation's been really problematic and hard for me because I don't want to go down a disordered path and get myself into, habits that might not be good for me in the long term. But in order to know that I'm eating enough, I may even need to track things for a while. And that can just be a challenging thought.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because I know there's a lot of people on across our social media platforms that would look at your posts and what you put up and go, she's got it all together.
Yeah. Well, in so many ways things have worked well for me and I've been very fortunate. But I know that at times I've dropped the ball over the last year, particularly when I'm in stressful situations. And I've definitely had some stressful situations come up, as we all do. We all do. Life is going to happen to all of us. And what I've found is that when I'm squeezed, I've found that there are some things that I do that I need to work on.
I mean, I think for me, one of the things that I've realised that I do in a stressful situation now, my thing used to be to eat. Now it's to not eat.
Yeah.
And I can go, because of my sleeve and I've still got restriction and all that sort of stuff, I can go 2 days without having anything meaningful to eat.
Yeah. So I've realised that I can very easily get caught up in what I'm doing and easily miss meals, and I just can't afford to do that. So I just have to be more mindful. So at the moment, my phone, I'm living out of it a bit more than I would normally like to, but I do have little alerts set up to remind me to drink, to remind me when it's lunchtime, because lunchtime is the meal that I tend to skip over if I'm busy. And I've made sure that my car pantry is stocked. So I have, like my center console, we call it the car pantry. There's some protein bars in there. There's some protein balls in there. There's some little bags of nuts and things that you get from Aldi, those kinds of things. They're all in there. And I just make sure that I'm being disciplined in looking after myself. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
The car pantry.
Yeah, the car pantry. It's definitely a thing. The kids will sometimes open it and say, "Oh, nothing nice in the car pantry this week." So
it also saves the whole, I got nothing to eat, I'll zip through wherever, which there's nothing wrong with that. But
no,
if you have a hectic week, you can very easily slip back into I've had
Yeah,
5 times this week.
into zipping through the drive-through repeatedly. And again, like Damo said, no problem with that. But for me this year, I am also being really budget conscious. And I know that a lot of us are all in the same boat on the budgeting issue and things. So there are some things that are definitely out for me this year, and my drive-through coffee is one of them. I'm not doing that this year. I'm having my proffies at home, so I'm making sure that I've got my travel cup. I'm making sure that I make my coffee before I leave the house. I'm making sure that the car pantry's stocked, so I'm not having to go and get snacks that I really don't need to go and spend money on when there's stuff at home that I can take with me. Just being a little bit more disciplined around those sorts of things. I think that's very much a 2024 thing. We're being a bit more mindful of those kinds of things.
Actually, on that, and I don't know why I'd never noticed, but I've been having, if I want something sweet, I've been having those no-shoe chocolate bars that you can buy. Well,
yep.
I know they have them at Coles, just at the checkout.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been getting. And they can be like $4 each or something. Just a few steps over, in the health food aisle, they have the whole boxes of them for like $8.
Yeah.
And I was standing there going, well, don't I feel sheepish?
Yeah. What have I been doing?
I've been buying all these single bars.
Yeah. So we would actually love if this week you could be on the lookout for those really awesome savings that you're finding, and drop them in an email to us, because we think that we're all in the same boat. We're all doing 2024 with our eye on our bottom line, and let's help each other out. Let's give each other a little bit of a heads up if we see a great protein idea that's really good price. Let's be proactive, and then we can share those things.
Yeah.
Every week, which I think is a really, really good thing. Now, some outs for me in 2024. Bye-bye. And this is a huge one. And it's one that I have had a struggle with of recent times, as you know. Allowing my confidence to be affected by what other people say to me. I'm kicking that to the curb this year. Of course, we can't dictate what other people say. We don't have that kind of control or power over other people. But what we can do is protect our own hearts, and we can choose how long we allow those words to live rent-free in our heads.
Yeah.
And this year, in 2024, I'm taking on the things that build me up, that encourage me, that spur me on, and that make me feel like I can keep going. I'm not going to take on those negative things. I'm not going to, take on those things when people say, you should eat a burger, or maybe eat some more, or maybe do this, or maybe do that. I'm just going to keep doing me.
It's good.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing that is an out for me in 2024 is eating out. Like I've already said, I've already touched on that. I'm not doing takeout coffee. I'm not doing going out as often. I don't mean I'm not doing it at all. I just mean that I'm not doing it as often. I've got some, holiday goals and some trip goals planned for this year. So, we have to rearrange priorities. And that is very, very important to me in this year. And another thing that's out for me this year is buying myself things that I don't need. I'm just not doing it. I'm going with what I know works. So that's my...
That is a big thing.
No, it is.
Because
it is.
I know for me there are times where, and it might just be something cheap, you know, a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
But I buy it and then get home and it might be 6 months and I haven't used it.
Yeah, well, it's that dopamine hit that we're going for. And for me, I know about myself that I can tend towards having an addictive personality type. I know that. I know that about me. I know that's why I ate to the size that I was. I'm aware that I need to be conscious and mindful of, you know, those kinds of behaviors in my life. So it's something that I'm just wanting to get a bit more of a handle on. Not that things were bad or out of control, but I just see areas for improvement, and I see areas that I can channel those funds into that are going to bring me far more joy. So that's what I think is sexy.
So are you going to start, say, another account or something and actually transfer that?
Yeah, I've done that. I've already done that. So I've already done that. So every week what I would have spent on coffee now goes into my holiday account.
And that's important because otherwise that coffee money will just get spent on something else.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And what I'm talking about, and this has been a long-term goal, and I'm actually even a little bit scared to like verbalize this and to say it out loud. But something that I've wanted to do for the longest time is some hikes. And when my knee, like I was working towards that kind of thing last year, and when my knee started to carry on, I thought, oh my God, this is never going to happen. But I'm not going to focus on what I can't do. We're going to focus on what I can do. So we found a shorter hike that's a bit local to where we are, but it's called the Great Ocean Walk. And we are planning as a family to do that this year. So it'll be 5 or 7 days. It's about 100 kilometres.
Amazing.
I know. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we'll be...
Are there toilets? Do you have to poop in the bush?
Poop in the bush. Dig a hole. Poop in the bush. Hope nothing bites me. Very scared of that.
Gives me flashbacks to Eastern Europe.
The whole bitey on the bottom thing's a little bit scary, but I'm so excited. I've never been somebody that has hiked. Like, we've definitely done the camping thing. I've definitely done long walks, and I'm well able to do that kind of stuff, but I've never actually done a multiple day hike. So whether that's something that I'm going to have to build up to, I'm not sure, but it's just a goal. It's an NSV of mine. It is something that I have wanted to do for years, and I figure this is the year. This is the year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Beats my hike at the shopping centre where I walk the bottom level and then up to the second.
Oh, Damo, you're a funny boy. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week.
It's been great.
It has been great. You can share your ins and outs next time.
Looking forward to it.
And you can guarantee there won't be any hiking involved. See you later.
Stay safe.